Everyone's ignoring Facebook. They have 2.1 billion daily active users. Facebook is paying creators like me 20 cents per 1,000 views. And it's substantial because they don't have enough good content.
You go to folks who are generating content and say, hey, I'm going to publish it for you in a foreign language, and I'm going to split the revenue 50-50.
You need a $50 a month account and you're in business.
These implementers will charge up to $10,000 per day. AI replaces the EOS implementer.
Old-Timey photo booths, you just freaking get bar owner on the phone, buy them from China, and you place it. That's it. Gold panning or gem mining. That is just a great business.
People are super hungry for in real life experiences. So I like this one.
Welcome to the Koerner office. Today is a business idea showdown. I had my good friend Michael Girdley on the pod today. He owns a bunch of cool businesses like I do, and he brought a list of genius business ideas, and my challenge was to take his idea and level it up on the spot with no prep. At the end of the episode, we vote on our best and most favorite idea. This is quite entertaining. I promise you're going to love it. Please enjoy.
All right. So there's a huge problem where you do not know if what you're looking at online is AI generated photos, AI generated text, like you have no idea. So basically what I want to pay for is a service that sits in my browser, and basically it's a plugin and it watches everything I'm looking at, and it flags for me stuff that is highly likely to be AI generated. This may already exist, but I would pay like $20 to $30 a month for this service. So it's a browser plugin that auto detects everything I'm looking at and tells me if it's cool. AI.
Whether it's on a website or in your inbox, anything on your screen.
Anything.
Even video.
Even videos.
That's going to be a thing. Like, I don't know if it is or not yet, but that's for sure going to be a thing.
I think
like
it is.
That should be a big thing, because what's real and what's fake? How will we ever know?
You don't. Like, until you buy my browser plugin.
Coincidentally, I might as well announce my next product. It's a browser plugin.
Oh, and I think it could have a cool name. You call it something like distrust. Like, I distrust everything.
I like that. I could see that being like a whole category. Like, I could see there being hundreds of browser plugins and there being like a governing body with like a benchmark. And it's like, what is your benchmark? 97% accurate, 80. You know what I'm saying? They kind of have those for the LLMs, but it would be something similar for detecting LLMs.
Either you're being really nice or I'm starting out strong.
No, I'm being, no. I will preface, like, I love every idea because I firmly believe that any business idea could work. Like, with the right marketing, the right ideas, it could work. So I am a yes man when it comes to ideas. But this one I really like because everyone's talking about browser plugins that watch what you do, so you could create SOPs, you could train other people. It could tell you how to be more productive. That's where I thought you were going with this. I was like, okay, I've heard this one. And then, of course, they have apps. There are wrappers where you can paste something into it and say, yeah, this was generated by ChatGPT.
Right.
But this is like passive and it just exists. And maybe there's like a meter on the corner of your screen or something that flashes when it sees it or highlights it, you know?
Yeah. Like, it could kind of like highlight, put stuff like with a red glow over the top of it. It thinks it's fake.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. And you know what? I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to build on that for my idea.
Let's go.
Okay. So I think there should be like some sort of a governing body, like, just like I said, like an authority for detecting AI generated content. And the idea here is for all of these apps, wrappers, whatever, to pay you a licensing fee or yearly fee or a monthly fee to get graded and scored. And it could kind of be like what are those seals that you have on the bottom of a website that it's like SSL certified or whatever?
Yeah.
Something like that. Some sort of a governing body, someone to raise their hand and say, I'm the authority. You know, Greg Eisenberg was talking about how he moved to Miami. He needed a dentist. He was walking around. He passed a dentist and they had a sign in the window that said, voted Florida's best dentist. And he walked in and he's like, good enough for me. He became their customer. He sent dozens of friends there. He said that one sign, just from him alone, caused like tens of thousands of dollars worth of business. And so we had talked about that, like what sort of a governing body could you be? And it's all a racket, right? But I think this would be a good thing to attach that model to. What do you think?
I think your path is to go get somebody in Brussels, in the EU government, to mandate this as a requirement. Kind of like all that horrible cookie
Some are
things.
very liberal. Yeah.
Yes. Someone willing. So, well, it turns out it's all a big barbell because you and I both live in Texas and our state government is now also banning pot. which is like,
Oh yeah.
which is like a big, it's a big barbell at the far
Yeah.
left and the far right in the middle. They just meet. So
It's funny.
I dig that. So you have like a governing body. So it'd be like CE Labs or one of those like ISO 9001, but it's for.
Exactly. Because on one hand, it's like, if you don't think about it deeply enough, you're like, yeah, but who am I? Like, why am I anything special? Like, what? But all of these governing bodies just kind of raised their hand one day. One guy was dumb enough or cocky enough to say, I can be that. Pay me money. Like that's all it takes. So
I like that one. That's good.
Okay. So that's 2. Are you keeping track of these or should I open a Google Doc?
I've got my list and I'm writing down yours as they come up.
Okay. Perfect.
So I had one that I think is totally up your speed, which is I saw this tweet the other day where people took a picture of this place like outside, I think, Times Square in New York. And It was a place that had a bunch of old-timey photo booths. And people were lined up around the corner to go do these things. And I went to a bar here in San Antonio the other day. Well, because I'm old, so I only go to bars on Saturday nights and from the hours of 6 to 8. And they had the old-timey kind of photo booth. And like, it was just a fascinating kind of thing that these things are like super duper coming back. I think there's total market for people to start to build like on these old-timey photo booths and start to put them everywhere. Because I think people are hungry for this stuff because it's just the opposite of what you get from the photo in a mobile device that shows up on Instagram.
It's like the pendulum going the opposite direction.
Totally.
Right. Have you been to like Pigeon Forge, Branson, one of those?
Those places are too classy for me.
Yeah. Have you been in one of those?
I have not been to Pigeon Forge now.
Oh, we were at Pigeon Forge a few months ago, and there's probably a dozen of these photo booth businesses for old-timey Western photos on like all on Main Street. And they're retail spaces, and like, who knows what they pay for rent, right? Like probably 10,000 plus a month. It's crazy rent. And I'm assuming they do well because there's a lot of competition and they don't go anywhere. Like they've been there for years. So I'm just assuming they do well. And so that is my data point of why I love this business, because I think that speaks to a bigger framework, which is like, take a business that thrives in like a tourist trap area and test it with like a fraction of the cost in other areas, like a bar in San Antonio or a kiosk in a mall. It might flop. It might only be a tourist type attraction, but it might not. So I love that. How was it doing, this one in the bar? Were people attending it?
Well, number one, here are 2 signs. Number one, I tried to talk my wife into doing it. She's like, my hair isn't our night. So I was like, cool. but then the wall was just covered with hundreds, if not thousands, of people that had done these and given them to the bar to put on the wall.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So people are doing it.
Yeah, it seemed pretty popular.
And was it just like your standard photo booth that just had that filter on it, basically?
Like it was the old school kiosk one that used to have like the Kodak, like film printer, Polaroid in there. Yeah, it's precisely that.
That is cool. Okay. Yep. I like that one a lot. Should we come up with like a grading scale for these? Should we write down our own grades like privately so we don't bias each other?
We could grade them if you want, but I figured we just at the end would just pick the finalists.
Okay. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, I'll continue in this tradition, and I'm going to take your theme and I'm going to add an idea to that. Same theme, tourist traps. I've got 4 kids. Every time we go to one of these hokey places, our kids always want to do gold panning or gem mining. Okay. And that is just a great business because you get a pile of dirt, you kind of mix in some cheap gems that kids think will make them millionaires that were really worthless. And you pay like $45 for a bag this big, and the kids just have a blast. And no one feels ripped off. The kids are entertained. They're panning for gold, and water's filtering through these things. I think someone needs to take that concept and shrink it down and put it in like a high trafficked shopping mall, like the Gallery of Houston or the Gallery of Dallas, because it's very visual. Every kid walking by is going to want to know what's going on. You can do like a prize thing where like 1 in 10 bags have a gold nugget or an Amazon gift card or whatever. And then when someone wins, you could like advertise that. You could have a TV showing. Like, it's just the type of business that would get people to stop in their tracks and shell out $35, $45. And if it doesn't go well, you just close up shop because those kiosks are month to month, and you just say, I tried. What do you think?
I dig that one.
So here's how this works. I make you free videos. I actually know what I'm talking about. I have no greasy sales pitch at the end. And if you implement what I talk about, you'll make a lot more money and have a better life. And all I ask for in return is that you hit the subscribe button and maybe even the notification bell, just like that. Thank you.
Well, and I think it's really
no pun intended, right?
Yeah. So an interesting trend, right? We talked about the pendulum of like consumer demand. My son is having his birthday today. And he is going with his buddies. He turned 16, so nobody can drive. So everybody's mom is dropping them off at the mall. It's just like, whoa!
Here we are again.
Like we're back to the other end of the cycle again of repeating itself, which is a decade ago. Nobody wanted to go to the mall. Now my kids are like, yeah, we're gonna go to the mall. They have like a little arcade there. We're gonna hang out with our friends. It's gonna be great. So I think I'm very pro this as an experiential thing. I think people are super hungry for in real life experiences. So I like this one. I think it's a cool one. So would you have like running water? So you like do the...
Yeah. So I actually did a little, some research on this like 6 months ago, and there's like one or two companies that sell these setups. They're like $5,000 to $15,000, and they're big enough to fit in like a mall, but they sell them to like these touristy places. They're not meant to be in a mall, but they could be. Like,
yeah.
If you could have Orange Julius, like all you need is a drain and a plug, then you could have something like this, right?
Right. It does remind me of the last time I saw one of these little mining operation things was we went to the dinosaur museum. It's up, I think it's southwest of where you guys are, towards like Brownwood in Texas.
Dinosaur Valley National Park. I mean, it's
Glen
Rose, Texas.
And they, but on the way there, you drive past the Creationism Museum, which is super fun.
Like more barbell, right?
Yeah, it's like here. If you want to get to this dinosaur museum, you got to go past the Museum of Noah's Ark, which I try to get my wife and kids to go to. They're like, we don't want to go there. We want to see the dinosaurs. So it is what it is. Funny. I like the mall mining operation. I think that's a cool one. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little more niched on here. Okay. So one of the things that I think is a struggle is you have so many of these businesses now that are small businesses that like the only two options for them are like sell the business and sell the whole business, or like find a family member to take it over, right? Those are kind of the two options you can have. And eventually like the family member buys it out. So I think there's an interesting thing to kind of replicate what happens at the bigger end of the spectrum on business buying and generational transition, which is like come up with a model where you become a fund that goes in and does minority investments in these businesses. So like minority buyouts. Mm-hmm. So say, for example, somebody has a good business, right? Let's say they own a chain of small mining kiosks at the mall, right? And that's doing a certain amount. Like this company could go in, this fund would go in and do a minority purchase of say 40% of the business. And the way they would get paid back is like a preferred return. And then there would be guardrails on the kind of broader thing, right? To keep the people from paying themselves everything in terms of salary and all that kind of stuff. So it's a half-baked or maybe like a third-baked idea. But like I just see so many businesses where they're not ready to sell the whole thing, but they want to get like partial liquidity and take some chips off the table. And this is done for bigger businesses, but nobody's really tried to do it for small businesses. So tell me why this sucks.
Is there a revenue range that you're thinking?
Yeah, I think it's stuff that is like slightly bigger than SBA size. So like enterprise value rise, you're like in that 5 to 15 million EV type thing, you know, where maybe the thing's throwing off 2 or 3 million a year in EBITDA. Like then you just say, okay, well, we're going to buy one of those EBITDA from you for cash. And here's $6 million for it. And we're going to get this pref. And then if there's an exit, then we're going to get, you know, this percentage of the business at exit, right? And go from there. So that's the total extent of the thing. It was like, okay, so many people are trying to chase all these total buyouts. Like, why don't we go to people and just say, hey, we're going to buy a minority thing. You can keep owning this. And then over time, like you just take some chips off the table. Because when people start, what I'm seeing, and this for me too, like you start getting 50, 55, like you don't want to have 98% of your like net worth tied up in a plumbing business that you own. Like you would love to have 60% of your net worth there. You're not ready to retire, but like, you don't want to have everything dependent upon this one thing that could go wrong, you know, in a downturn, that sort of thing.
I like that idea. I'm wondering if you should pick like a niche, like home services or like only HVAC or anything. And maybe your niche quote is like having a 20, like a Lindy niche, right? Like you want it to have been around for 20 or 30 years. You want to see a consistency of management. You want to see double-digit net margins. And if it checks those boxes, you don't care if it's a restaurant or a home service, right?
Yep.
I like that idea. I wonder what it does to, like, from a mental perspective, to the owner. Does he pseudo check out? Does it change the dynamic of his motivation or his drive or not?
Yeah.
Maybe it makes him fight harder,
It totally could. Yeah. And I do think it comes down to a lot of potentially an adverse selection problem with this idea, which is, hungry people who are driven like yourself are the ones that build great businesses. Like, grit matters, right? And if you want to be spending more time on your boat, that's not good for building a bigger business. Yeah. So that could be kind of the adverse selection problem with the whole thing. In the end, I think you go look at like Warren Buffett's writings when he was, really excited about the business he bought, like Nebraska Furniture Mart. Like, he talks about that lady that ran it, like just a total machine. And when she didn't get what she wanted, she opened up a competing business across the street. Like, that is just like that crazy grit that you want. So I think for some of this to work, there has to be the right people involved, because the smaller the business is, the more it's wholly dependent upon the caliber of the management and the ownership. So
yeah. Isn't there like a test that you can take that measures your grit? Have you heard of that?
What is it?
I don't remember what it's called, but it's like pretty popular. Grit.
I thought it was called owning a restaurant.
I think it's Angela Duckworth, the grit scale.
Oh, she wrote the grit book.
I think she has like a test on her website. And so maybe if we learn that is like a key component of whether you're successful or not post purchasing this minority stake, they have to score a certain way on that grit test. And if they don't, then you don't even move forward with due diligence. Right. If they do, then you keep going. I like that idea. Is that kind of the percentage ranges that Warren Buffett buys in for?
I think it's all over the place. He's done 100% buyouts. There's been some stuff where they've done 60% buyout. There's stuff where they've done, owning single digits. It just depends on the situation.
Interesting. I like that idea. That's a good one. Should I build on that one again?
Or if you want to riff on that one, go ahead.
I'll try. So most people don't realize that of all those sweaty startups, like boomer-owned businesses, like we're all enamored by the silver tsunami, 10,000 every day, yada, yada, yada. Most people don't realize that the vast majority of these businesses will just be closed. Some of them will try to sell. Maybe they half-heartedly post something to Biz Buy Sell, or they reach out to their cousin who they heard was a business broker, but he's really a residential real estate broker, and he's probably garbage. There might be a half-hearted attempt. And frankly, shockingly, many business owners don't even know that selling your business is a thing that's possible, right? Like, who would want this? Like, I'm just a stylist. Who would want my 75 hairdressing customers? They don't realize there's a value there. It might be low, but there is a value there. And so here's my idea. Call it like an online marketplace, like a Biz Buy Sell, but specifically for business owners that have already resigned in their head to just lock the doors and walk away. And then opportunistic people, you or I, could come in and say, all right, I don't really want to start a business. I want to start from something. I want a foundation. I want to book a business. I want a warehouse with a bunch of woodworking equipment in it, something. I want to step into something. And you pay $5,000 for an email list, or $50,000 for an email list, or maybe you take over a lease, or maybe it's just a real estate transaction, but it's specifically Biz Buy Sell for people. It would be hard to grow this. I think you'd have to educate them. But for people that have just said, I don't think there's anything here. If there is, please tell me. Maybe it's an auction system, like an eBay style. What do you think?
I dig it. So it's almost like Biz Buy Sell for special situations. Are you familiar with that phrase?
Like special situations?
Yeah.
No, from like a business span. I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah. So the deal guys refer to special situations as like distressed assets, turnaround assets.
Owner gets cancer.
Stuff with one customer, like just like oddball stuff that's just like a special stuff in bankruptcy. Like that's special situations. I may get brutalized by defining this incorrectly, but it's kind of that thing where it's just like, hey, we've got this random thing. Like, it's just like, it is a 2/3 interest in Michael Jackson's like music catalog, like special situations kind of stuff, where there's just the context is really bizarre. So I like it because that's where there's just That's one of the challenges of biz buy sell is so much of it is just stuff that's like trying to be down the middle of the fairway because that's what everybody thinks is going to sell. And you see a lot of deals, and we see them on our podcast, Acquisition Anonymous, that talks about like these deals that we dig into them and they're a special situation. There's something screwy going on, but they try to post it like it's a down the middle of the fairway deal. Yeah. So like, I like this, like just like random, hey, here's this random weird thing that you should think about, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, I've scraped biz buy sell before, and you can see how long it's been listed.
Right.
You could get your first listings by just finding all the ones that have been listed for 365 plus days and say, hey, we both know the score here. Come on over here. People are actually looking for pieces of garbage like this business.
Yeah. I like it. Oh man, that's a good one. Okay. I got that one down in my list here. Okay. You want to hear my next one?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're familiar with EOS?
Yep.
Okay. So EOS, for those of you not familiar, is an entrepreneurial operating system. It's a system of templates and rules and processes that you use to run your business better. And it's got all these different things, just business paint by numbers. Even so, they give away the book basically for free. It's like $15 that shows you the whole system. You could download all the templates. You could do it yourself. Right? What's that? Traction.
Is it called Traction? Great book.
Yeah. Traction. So basically, even despite all of that, some companies still go out and hire consultants to help them implement the system in their business. And they're called implementers. They are franchisees of the EOS system. The reality is these people act very much like an AI does. They know their rules. They know what you're supposed to do. They listen to what's going on. And then they say, oh, here's how to think about this rule. Okay. So the idea, here's where it gets worse. These implementers will charge up to $10,000 per day to come work with your company. $10,000 per day. So some of them are cheaper, but like they charge big money.
Have you ever used one?
Indirectly, yes. I've been paid a couple times to help people do it. I've done it a couple. If people are like, hey, if you want to pay me $5,000 to hang out with you for a day, I'd say yes. That's the way it works sometimes.
Same.
So I've done that, but basically all you're doing is like you memorize the book, understand how it works, pay attention to what's going on, and then just be like, okay, guys, like do this other thing. Here's the idea. You go take ChatGPT, you give it the book, and you say, your job is to act like the world's best implementer of EOS. Here's all the documentation on it. Read it, and you're going to log into the Google Meet, and you're going to participate in this meeting, and you're going to act like the implementer and facilitate us for the day doing this particular thing. Wow. And instead of it being $5,000 a day, it ends up being $250 a month to be an EOS implementer. AI replaces the EOS implementer.
So, all right, logistically, what does that look like on a Google Meet? Like, are you just getting the transcript and then uploading it to, or using the API to listen in real time?
So I think the software to be built here is bridging into Google Meet, like acting like a participant in the Google Meet and pretending to be a human, even though everybody knows that you're the AI and you're not going to have, you're just speaking via audio and listening to the audio of everybody else going through the day of the planning sessions and stuff like that. So yes, bridging an AI bot that like does an audio interface into Google Meet. Like you just bridge those two things together.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to think, how would you interact with it? Would it just be like a chat bot and you'd say like, based on everything we said, what are your suggestions? And it's just scanning the book and saying, do.
Yeah, it knows all the rules. It knows there's a strict set of templates they follow. You know, typically the way an implementer like this works is they're running you through a structured day where your team meets to talk about what your goals are and all that kind of thing. And then the implementer is kind of being a participant in that and then guiding people through the process of following those steps. So like everybody would show up and then you basically treat the AI implementer like it's a human being and be like, okay, like start us on our day. Okay, well, the first step is we're going to do this. And like the AI would tell you. That's because I think the technology is all there to do this.
Yeah, it is. Man, that's going to happen. Like that's another idea that it will be done. Who's going to do it? When? How will it be rolled out? I like that a lot. So video is cool, but you know what's better? Long form audio via podcast and my newsletter, tkopod.com. Go there to subscribe for free to my newsletter. It's 1 email a week, very tactical. And then go to my audio podcast, 3 episodes a week, stuff like this. You're going to love it. All free, no sleazy sales pitch, tkopod.com. I think the one downside that comes to mind is accountability. Like, does the business owner really feel beholden to a chatbot? Whereas if it were a real implementer, it's a real person.
100%.
And it's like, hey man, what are you doing? You know, like you're paying me all this money. You're not doing the thing. Surely there's a way to bridge that gap, like to pair it with a real human, maybe like 10-1 instead of 1-1, you know?
Well, and ultimately, I've seen people hire implementers like this because they feel like they can't manage the process and their leadership is like struggling. Like they can't get their people to speak up, or they feel like they need a third party to do this stuff for them. And it's like, oh, that's more of a sign of bad leadership than it is like a sign of needing an implementer, if that makes sense. So I think part of it also is, if a CEO isn't ready to listen to an AI and get feedback from an AI, that's a sign that you're not very coachable and you probably have some bigger problems than what
Bigger
EOS
fish to
is going
fry.
to solve for you.
Yeah. Okay. I like that idea a lot. And I'm going to give you one along that same vein. Okay.
Wait, are you thinking these up as you go along, or are you pulling them off a list?
No, I am. I really am.
You don't have a list.
No.
You're just riffing on these?
This is great. This is my superpower.
Yeah. I spent 30 minutes coming over these ideas last night.
Sorry,
oh my God.
Sorry. Well, mine, I'm not saying it's going to be good, but I have it. All right. So there needs to be an AI focused EOS. Like EOS needs to be reborn, a new company entirely, but AI first, right? Just like Instagram was successful because it was mobile first, Facebook was not, right? So here's what you do. You take the same thing. You take a PDF of the book Traction, upload it to Claude or whatever. You need a big enough context window. And you say, here's chapter 1 of Traction. I want you to take the first principles from this, rewrite it with AI top of mind, right? So I don't know Traction well enough to riff on that, but kind of like there needs to be a visionary and an integrator, right? Isn't that what Traction says? There's two types of business owners in the world, visionary and integrator. Maybe the visionary would be the guy setting up automations in N8N or Lindy or any of those software. And you could use like specific tools, kind of like Tim Ferriss's book, Tools of Titans, right? Where he takes all these tools and he integrates them into like optimizing your life. So it would not be associated with EOS in any way, but you'd be completely ripping off what has made EOS successful, which is helping people turn around businesses with success, but putting AI at the forefront of it, like how to implement AI into your business with kind of an EOS first principles framework. And you could do the same thing. You could start with a book. You could sell it for $15 because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. They're doing great. They're selling franchises. They're doing great. And then you do in-person stuff and you literally fly people there, charge $10,000 a day. But instead of like focusing on how to better manage your people, it's like how to replace your people with apps and LLMs, right? Like unabashedly. What do we think?
I dig it. I think AI is going to change everything in terms of doing business. And yeah, I dig it. I like it. I got nothing else to say.
To me, like, I think EOS's value proposition is, $10,000 for a day, but you're going to fix my $7 million business. That's a great value. This value proposition is, $10,000 for a day, but I'm going to save $30,000 a month on payroll from now on because you're going to just show me these tools and automations and frameworks and LLMs that can replace, Linda at the front desk. It sounds morbid, but it's going to happen. Like Linda's getting fired, whether we get paid for it or not. So we might as well get paid for it.
I got one for you. Have you ever heard of a show called Metastasis?
No.
Okay. So Metastasis, it's on YouTube. What Metastasis is some guys in Latin America, some cable systems in Latin America. They went to Sony Pictures, and Sony Pictures owns the entirety of the copyright to Breaking Bad. Arguably a top 5 drama ever.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And so what they did was they went through the entire series and they did the entire thing as a low budget film, but in Spanish for Latin America.
The rights holder did this.
So no, some guys in Colombia that worked at a cable station went and licensed the script to redo the entire thing in native Latin American Spanish. And they recreated Breaking Bad in Spanish in Colombia, scene by scene. So
holy cow.
The whole thing.
Dubbing, just starting from scratch.
Straight up. There's a Walter White, except his name is, Julio Blanco, right? Or whatever it is. I don't know what Walter is in Spanish. But they went and redid the whole thing as this particular like thing, and it's hugely popular. Like it was one of the most popular shows in Colombia, which is a huge economy. People don't realize it. Colombia
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, one of the biggest economies in Latin America.
Is it only being shown in Colombia or all over Latin America?
I think it's all over Latin America, but they called it Metastasis because the whole show.
That's the name of the show.
That's the name of the show.
And you can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah, there's all kinds of scenes where like, a version of Tuco is like snorting the meth.
Have you seen any of them?
Yeah, I watched them. Yeah.
Is it like a good production quality, like good actors?
It's very low quality, but they did it scene by scene. But they did it with like a 50th the budget.
Holy cow! Pizza on the roof and everything.
Yeah. So the whole thing. But if you look at it, this format has actually this idea of taking something that worked in one place and putting it someplace else. Like we see this pattern over and over again. Like The Office is actually, was originally a UK show. They just redid it in the US with a slightly different twist on it. And these guys actually changed a few little things in Metastasis. But I think it's this huge opportunity to go mine content that has worked really well in other places and just bring it to a new culture and adapt the whole thing. So I think there's a future for doing this. Like you go find these stories that are amazing and then you just redo them. But
oh my gosh. Of course there is. Like that's a no-brainer. Isn't that what Disney was built on?
100%.
Taking like these old fables and modernizing them?
Yeah. Well, Mr. Beast did it for the longest time. I think he still does it. He has actors in his studio that for all of his videos, basically he has them in English, and then he has like a native Korean speaker recreating all of them for Mr. Beast Korea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Jimmy's pretty smart.
Yeah, he is. Why aren't more people doing that? Like that seems like a no-brainer. Like Seinfeld, Friends, what are like every classic.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting. Have you gone back to watch like an episode of Cheers or even some of the stuff older, all in the Family and stuff like that?
I've watched with my kids like season 1 through 3 of Seinfeld, which is like early 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
I think as you get older than that, though, it's pretty tough for it to translate. A lot of the stuff is it doesn't match with the times and the pace of stuff we're looking for. Like I watched a Cheers episode the other day and I was like, this is so boring. Who said it? How is this must see TV? This is like must sleep TV. That's what I feel like.
Wow. So the idea is to just do that more. Other languages, other countries, other shows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Go find the stuff and redo them in Spanish. Like in Spanish is, if you have to pick languages, right? It's like, it's Chinese, English, Hindi, Spanish, like, and French. Like those are your options if you want to get the, and just go do them in Spanish.
Man, that is actually blowing my mind. Like I knew that Mr. Beast did that, but I didn't know that someone did that with Breaking Bad. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I did have my Spanish tutor, by the way, kept really trying to get me to start doing business content as a gringo in Spanish. He said it would kill.
Okay, so like just your same type of content, but in Spanish with poor Spanish. And it's a gringo.
Exactly that. Well, so I don't know if you know about this, but in China, there's this huge phenomenon where they love Westerners speaking in Chinese. They love it. So there's like all these white people who become stand-up, but they're not funny in English, but they're hilarious in Mandarin. So they're white like stand-up comics, and they kill in China.
Well, because it's like it's confirmation bias, right? They stand up and they're already like, who's this freaking weirdo, right? And like they're like, oh, Americans are funny. Like maybe they think that, and so they go into it expecting to laugh, and so any dumb thing that he says makes them laugh. It's kind of like if you were to like Nate Bargatze. I'm sure he was just as funny when no one knew who he was, right? They weren't expecting him to be funny. He's just this no-name guy in a club. But he's probably repeating the same jokes that bombed back then today that everyone just crush because they go into it already loving him and expecting him to be funny. Oh, he has a Netflix special. It's going to be funny. It's confirmation bias.
Yeah. He talks about a lot of the skits that he did on Saturday Night Live bombed because around table read, because he didn't have an audience to play off of. He's learned to listen to the audience for his timing. So the reason Nate's the guy that did the George Washington skit, right?
That's one of the best of all time.
I use that meme all the time, so I should know who the guy is. But he said that skit bombed in the table read at Saturday Night Live, but it killed at the audience because the timing would work with the audience. Whereas around the table read, people were just like, I don't get it.
That skit is so good.
So, okay. So let me tell you something else about China. This is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, having a white guy associated with your product in China was seen as luxury, would make it seem like it was super classy. So there were actually all these businesses that kind of 10, 15 years ago sprung up basically that were like white guy as a service. And they would hire local foreigners to come to like apartment grand openings to help them sell apartments, or like restaurant grand openings. So there'd just be like a random white guy who didn't speak any Chinese just hanging out. Like that made it more sophisticated. Dude. And people would be like, oh, this is classy. It's kind of like we treat an English accent when you meet somebody with an English accent. You're like, oh, that guy's smart. He has an English accent. So
it's like, I could go over there and be Bradley Cooper right now. They would love me.
Yeah. It's not hard. Not hard.
Man, that's another business idea.
White guys, I'm available. Anybody, 5,000 a day.
If anyone in China is listening, I'm not too proud. Pay for my plane ticket. I'm there.
All right, I got another one for you.
Okay. Well, wait.
Go for it.
I gotta riff on that one because I'm
just very excited about my ideas.
Yeah, sorry. This will be fast. So there is much more demand on Facebook than supply of video content. Okay. All the creators are on Instagram. Everyone's ignoring Facebook. They have 2.1 billion daily active users. 2.1 billion with a B, daily active users. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah. Facebook is paying creators like me to post Facebook Reels natively to Facebook because they don't have enough good content. That's why you log into Facebook and it's all slop because there's just nothing good for them to show people. So I get paid 20 cents per 1,000 views on my Reels. And it's substantial. Like it has been substantial. My Reels go viral there more than anywhere else. But I recently learned because there's this guy in Canada, this Indian guy that's copying all of my content. I put out a video 6 hours later, he verbatim repeats my transcript on my Reels in his own voice in Hindi and then publishes it. He doesn't change a word. And he's doing very well. He has 400,000 followers on Instagram and he's only copying me. Okay.
In Hindi.
So then I look into it and I said, all right, how many daily active users on Facebook in the US? 220 million or something. What about in India? It's twice that. It's like 400 million. Okay. So twice as big of a market, clearly much, much less valuable, like less GDP per capita, right? But what I started doing is I created the Koerner office Hindi on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. And I get ahead of it now. I use 11 Labs and I publish, as soon as I publish this video about this idea, I publish the same thing in Hindi. I cloned my voice. It sounds like me. It is me. It's my face. So I can get ahead of it. He's still going to copy me, but it will have much less effect. In a few months, I hope to have thousands of Facebook followers and I hope to be monetized on that account as well. So here's the idea. You do that as a service for any creator that's on any platform, specifically on like Instagram and Facebook, and you take a rev share. You just use 11 Labs, you clone their voice with their own content, you download their videos, you do it in a permissionless way, then you reach out for permission and you take 20, 30, 40% of the revenue they get from these platforms for publishing it in Hindi. What do we think?
I think that's great. Back in the day, we used to call that internationalization. And the shortcut for it is I-18N because there's 18 letters between I and N.
It's like A16Z.
So, yeah, I was already trying to name it for you, which was like internationalization as a service. Yeah, so basically what Mr. Beast is doing with his stuff, but you just go to creators who have stuff. And look, I really like this one. I think it's one of our best ideas so far. Because the reason I like it is it matches this type of model that works really well, which is, I call it found money, where it's basically like, hey, like this is revenue you weren't going to get. It's not going to cost you anything. I'll take care of everything and I'll give you half of whatever I get for you. Right.
Yeah.
So Molson Hart, Twitter friend, maybe of mine, he's not everybody's Twitter friend. Yeah. I'm not everybody's Twitter friend either, but he had a business, for example, that would go sue people who had violated patents and then split the revenue for them. So kind of found money. I like this. This is actually better than my ideas.
No. But it's made more capable thanks to 11 Labs and like AI voice cloning. Whereas Jimmy has had to like literally hire actors and dub these videos, but this is more scalable now.
Yeah. Well, the reason he did actors is he said he couldn't get the translation stuff to do the right intonation. It just didn't feel good enough. And the dude's got a lot of money. So, I mean, he just paid a guy $250,000 to tweet about his business. So he's got a lot
Was
of
that
money.
real?
I don't know. It
That
felt
was
pretty
really
real.
funny. That's for sure.
It was really funny. Yeah. Okay. This one is an idea that I think is time has come. You live in Dallas. I live in San Antonio. Mosquitoes are a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have mosquitoes in your yard?
Oh, yeah.
They're horrible. How much money would you pay to get rid of the mosquitoes in your backyard?
Oh, I don't know.
People would pay tens of thousands of dollars. Like here in San Antonio and in most places in the South, we have these Asian tiger mosquitoes that are these invasive species from Southeast Asia. They fly in any weather. They don't care. They're mean as hell. And they will just come in and ninja you, take your blood, and you're left with a sore that lasts for days. It's not like the mosquitoes you have up north because they just survive everything. As long as there's no deep freeze, they're cool. They are vicious. So back in the day, like 15 years ago, Nathan Myhrvold, who was the CTO of Microsoft, he left Microsoft, took his $1 billion and went and started a business that would buy up intellectual property and create intellectual property. So one of the patents they created was this device that basically would watch the sky for mosquitoes to start flying, and then it used lasers to shoot them down. It burned their wings off. What? I'm not joking. So there is a TED Talk video of him 15 years ago demonstrating them doing Star Wars Death Star against mosquitoes. And back then it was hard. Like you couldn't figure out. So the problem back then was you have a laser that is strong enough to kill a mosquito from 30 feet away. There's a problem that is also strong enough to blind people.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have a problem there. So it wasn't really going to be practical given the computing at the time to have something smart enough not to blind people, but we're there now. Like you look at what's happening with the AI stuff and the ability to process like a normal, like, 40 series, like NVIDIA GPU can run a model good enough to only shoot down mosquitoes. So somebody needs to build the mosquito Death Star that like sits in my backyard and just blasts mosquitoes out of the sky.
That would go viral so easily. Are you kidding me? One Instagram reel and you've sold thousands of units.
Yeah. So there's some challenges here, but I'll leave it there, which is mosquito Death Star.
That is so cool. There's a video of this where you can see it at work.
Yes, TED Talk. Yeah, I'll put it in our little thing here.
Oh my gosh. That is so cool. It's like the fly zapper for the new age, right?
Yeah, but we call it the mosquito Death Star. Who is not buying the mosquito Death Star?
Oh, take my money. Oh, that is so cool. So is that what you're launching? Is that the business you're launching?
Dude, no. I totally want to build it though.
Can you buy these? Like, can you import these?
No,
from China?
They haven't ever commercialized it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the big problem. If you look up mosquito TED Talk, it just shows you Bill Gates releasing mosquitoes into the audience. Oh, here it is. It's from 2010. Could this mosquito zap malaria? It's Nathan Myhrvold. So I'll put it here in the little thing.
Oh man.
Somebody should build this. I will buy one.
Yeah, I would buy one. I'd pay a couple $1,000 for that.
Oh my God. Like,
it's a party trick if nothing else. It's like a lava lamp. It's cool.
Oh, and it'd be so cool. Like you could sell like a version where inside your house is like a little scoreboard and it's like ding, like every time it blasts a mosquito out of the sky.
Oh yeah. Gamify it.
So sick. So sick.
Or like phone notifications. You just zapped a mosquito. Like Black Mirror. Okay. I'm going to riff on that one too.
All right,
ready?
Hit me.
So I saw a similar video a year or two ago of a laser in China that cuts down trees. It's a very, very powerful laser. And they like, if a branch is like hanging into a power line, it can go and it will burn off. Like there's a thickness maximum to it, right? You're not going to do like a huge tree. Like this technology exists. They're using it in this purpose in Asia today. So I'm going to take what you just said about AI. The big problem with this today is it could kill people. It would kill people, right? It's a weapon. But if you had like a simple optical lens on it or a sensor that could say, all right, you're only going to fire if you're pointed northward at the sky, if I see a tree, if I can like you could even go so far as like, if I can identify what kind of tree it is, right? Which any iPhone could do. And if the thickness of the tree is only so much and there's no humans in the area, then I will cut off this branch. Because I own a tree trimming business. Like we just did a job last week, $3,000 job. It took us like 3 hours and we just had a bucket truck, 60-foot bucket truck. It's a big pain. It's a lot of friction. So if you could just roll up and go, zzz, bzz, all right, peace out, it would bring the cost down. So
I like that.
You could sell the equipment to tree trimmers. You could start a tree trimming business. You could service the equipment. You could import, license, whatever.
Sick.
Lasers.
I like that one.
Yeah.
AI enhanced tree cutting laser.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Let me put you on this one. This is crazier than Mosquito Death Star. So are you familiar with how Texas counties work and how they get revenue?
No.
Okay. So you live in, so Collin County will have 5 or 7 county commissioners, one of whom is the county judge. So the county judge is not really a judge. They're like the mayor of the county. And in the state of Texas, they have the ability to do stuff, not as much as being a city, which live on top of the counties, but they have the power to do some stuff. Like they can collect taxes, they collect property taxes, sales taxes, that sort of stuff. And then they use that to fund services like sheriff and water and building permits and stuff like that. Okay. And so the county commissioners will vote on ordinances and pass that kind of stuff, and they'll collect salaries as well. Out in West Texas, there is one of 254 counties in the state of Texas. And it is actually the least populated county in the entire United States. It has 24 full-time residents.
Holy cow.
The name of the town is called Mentone, and it is west of the thriving metropolis of Kermit, Texas, which you've also not heard.
Okay.
And it's about 240 miles west of Midland, Odessa. This county has 24 residents.
County?
Loving County.
Right? Okay. I just asked ChatGPT.
Yeah, Loving County is the name of the county. So 24 residents. The county itself has 24 residents. They mostly live in this little city of Mentone, which until recently didn't have running water. They do have one of the nicest rec centers you'll ever see in a state or in a county.
It's random.
The whole town of Mentone is about 12 square blocks.
Okay.
The rest of the county is oil fields. Oil field after oil field after oil field. So valuable property generating a lot of revenue. And because there are no residents, and because there are property taxes being collected on these properties and these oil wells, the county last year ran a $40+ million annual surplus. This year, it's going to run a $56 million annual surplus by projection. They have $200 million in the bank for 24 residents. So they're basically like, they've got all this money, nobody living there, and nothing to do with it. So the interesting thing is, how many people do you need to have on the county commissioner's court in order to pass ordinances? Say ordinances like giving a tax refund to all the residents, or using some of that fund to hire the residences at very high amounts, right? Or doing what Alaska does and give everybody monthly checks. Well, it turns out you only need to have 3 out of the 5. And the elections are coming up. So basically in the state of Texas, in order to maintain residency in a particular county, it's a pretty low bar. You just need to be there long enough ahead of time to get yourself registered as a voter. And then you could basically like go vote. So with 24 residents there, Chris, all you need to do is go find about 20 of your friends willing to put residency out in the town of Mentone, and then elect yourself control of the local government. And then
is it really that straightforward? I mean, like,
yeah, the elections are pretty small.
There's no way to like prevent that.
No, it's an election.
Holy cow. So like, what would be the name of the position that you would try to like run for?
You'd want to be the county judge and 2 of the county commissioners.
Okay.
And you have 3 out of 5. You have majority.
Judge, jury, executioner. Check.
Well, okay. So that leads into why this is a bad idea. You could imagine. So let me finish the upside. So the upside is you go and be like, hey, we're passing an ordinance for declaring a dividend. We're going to give $100 million out to all residences as of this date. And everybody walks home with their share of $100 million, right? And you still have $100 million left over as a county, and you're going to make more money the next year. All for going to spend 6 months in Mentone. So that's the upside. That's the upside of this whole thing, and go from there. Here's the downside. If you go Google this town and you go Google the county commissioner, you will see that he is a convicted cattle rustler. In other words, he's been convicted of stealing.
In other words, he will kill you.
So it's kind of like I call it the Key West effect. You ever notice how Key West is just full of a bunch of weirdos? Like people who go there's people who just keep traveling a certain direction until they can't go any further, and they end up they just stop. They end up in Santa Monica, or they end up in Key West, or Venice Beach in Key West, right? Same thing going on here. There's a reason these people
Seattle.
There's a reason these people live here. Like they're either running away from something, or they want to be someplace where nobody's going to bother them. So, before doing this, I think number one, you have to worry about personal safety. Number two, like you just get pilloried in the press. Like there's no way you're not getting in the New York Times and just totally hated for the rest of your life for doing this. So it's not really worth either the threat of physical harm or the reputational damage, but it is a fun intellectual exercise.
This is an incredibly fun intellectual exercise. Like, what are they going to do with the money if nothing ever happens? Do they distribute the interest dividends?
I don't know. I mean, go look at their civic center. They have like tennis courts. They have more tennis courts than they have residents. So I don't know what they're doing with all the money.
You need to live there for 6 months to be eligible to vote.
No, it's less than that. You just got to go through a voter registration cycle. Establishing residency, Texas county. To establish residence in a Texas county, individuals typically needed to demonstrate they have a permanent residence, a Texas driver's license or state ID, and are registered to vote in that county. You just need a permanent address. That's your primary residence there. So you go buy a building, give everybody an apartment, spend a certain number of days there, and make that your primary residence.
Jeez. Okay. If I were going to pull this off, I would get enough friends to ensure a majority. Okay.
Yep.
Where I don't need any locals to vote for me. I'm only going to have my friends vote for me. Okay. I'm going to pay them. I'm going to write them an IOU and say, hey, after the election, I'm going to give you $5 million or whatever it is, $1 million. And then I'm going to move there quietly. Like you can't move there quietly. Right. And I'll be an official resident, and I won't say a word. I won't say a peep until like a week before the election. Then I bring in my security force, right? Like a professionally trained security force. And then I just go live with the news. Hey, I'm running for judge. Now you got to file by a certain date, I'm sure.
Correct.
But even if you file like way in advance, you don't have to say what your platform, you don't have to say a peep, no yard signs, nothing. Week before the election, by the way, here's what I'm doing. There's no way you don't win that election. But like, why are you even such a bad guy? Like, I'm going to put this much to charity. I'm going to leave this much in the bank account. I'm going to give this much to all the residents. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Call me. I will participate.
I'm not moving to Loving, Texas, but this is a very interesting thought experiment.
Yeah, it's just really fun when you think about it. You can also, it is not that difficult to create your own city in the state of Texas. Have you ever heard about this?
I think I've seen you talk about it maybe.
Yeah, it's really pretty easy. So it used to be, there's a city called Mobile City out on the northeast side in Rockwall County. It used to be the only place that there was a liquor store for like 30 miles because it was a dry county. Dry counties are pretty much not a thing anymore. You can sell alcohol anywhere. But back in the day, counties didn't often have alcohol sales. There's actually a city in Oklahoma called Fireworks City. Guess what they sell there?
Do you have a location there?
No. We're just in Texas.
You're pushed out.
Yeah.
Man.
Let me see. Okay, I got one more, and then I think we're going to run out of time. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I think there is, we're at the early stage of a movement of being very pro-natalism. Like people want to see more births. And you're seeing a lot of very rich, wealthy people realizing, Elon Musk is one of them, that the future of this country needs more people having kids. You and I are speaking to the choir. You have 4, I have 2.
Mm-hmm.
But there are tons of technologies. I think it's going to be a technological solution to fix the birth rate problem in this country. If you're not following it, here in the US, our birth rate has dipped below replacement, which is 2.1 births per woman. And the birth rate is down 17% in the past 15 years. The average woman is having 17% fewer kids than before, which, like, I've watched it as an adult. Like businesses that are dependent upon kids being prevalent and common, like I'm seeing fewer and fewer young people and everybody looks older. Like there's just more boomers and the society's getting older. So people are seeing what can happen like in a Japan or a Korea when you're not having enough kids. Like I think there is a business to be run here to go out and raise a VC fund specifically to invest in pro-natalist technologies. So the business model is straightforward, same as any VC fund. You get carry and you get fees. And you're just saying, we're going to invest in things that are going to make money in a pro-natalist manner. Like we're going to do things that encourage people to have more kids. So that's things like humanoid robots, potentially like incubation strategies for kids. Like there's lots of people that are already doing it. Like rich people are already paying other people to have their kids. Like there will be a future in which we're able to laboratory wise have kids incubated outside of a woman's body. Now you can argue whether that's cool or not, but like those are the technologies between that and making education cheaper and like healthcare and childcare, like making that cheaper. All these technologies will make a huge deal. So I think the core business, I think somebody could go raise $100 million fund to invest in startups in this vein very easily. And at 2 and 20, that's a $2 million a year fee stream.
Oh, I love it. What would be the example of like an embryo robot, something like that?
The reason women aren't having as many kids right now, if you go interview them and like do studies on them, the reason they will say they're not doing it is because generally they want to be focusing on career. They want to be achieving things. Like they don't want having a kid to sideline all that kind of stuff. It stops them from doing the things they want to pursue in life, whether that's work or hobbies and that sort of thing. So basically what you have to do is you have to go and figure out technologies that are going to make it so having a kid is not so costly from opportunity cost, monetarily as well. So it's every technology that kind of feeds into that. So how does finding a partner get easier, right? And cheaper, right? A lot of women are not reproducing because they can't find a good partner. How does like conceiving get cheaper and easier? How does like carrying a baby to term, right, and birthing a baby get cheaper and easier? How does childcare get easier? How does tutoring get easier? How does schooling get easier? How does all that stuff? How does college get cheaper? Like any technology that's going to feed into making that less of an opportunity cost and less costly for women is, I think, and for men is like fair game.
Oh, I love it. Someone's going to do that. Like there are VC funds around all types of big macro trends like this. I haven't seen one for this, but it's going to happen.
No, I think it's totally, I mean, if you look, there's ones around like the the green revolution, like all that stuff is totally there.
In general, like I like the idea of investing in what you want the world to become. The hard part is nailing the timing, because I do think it's going to turn around. I think the pendulum will swing, especially when we have robots in our homes cooking and cleaning for us. Then there'll be less pressure for moms to do that. I love it.
Yeah. I like that. And it's, I mean, a lot of the reason the birth rate is down is you also look at the societal pressures that parenting has forced parenting to become. If you look at the amount of time dads and moms were spending on parenting activities over the past 50 years, they're more than doubled in terms of the number of hours per week. Like we've just had this massive inflation of expectations of what we're expecting good parenting to look like. And it's just kind of crazy that people look at that and I don't know, did you see that Chappell Roan interview?
Yes.
Yeah. It was just so depressing. It was
crap.
So depressing where she's like, all my friends who have kids are miserable. And I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. You're just doing it wrong.
I think she's misinterpreting what she's seeing, like, changing diapers, waking up in the middle of the night is not fun, but that's like 1% of parenting in the grand scheme of things. Oh man. That's good. My brain is fried.
All right. Well, I do have more for next time.
Yes, there will be a next time. Are we going to vote for a winner here?
Oh yeah, we should vote for a winner. Well, let's pick our top 3 finalists. Look, I want to do your internationalization as a service found money one. I vote for that one.
For number 1 or for a finalist?
It's in our top 3 or 4.
Well, okay. I am going to vote for your browser plugin. Like, I think that's number 1 for a reason. I love that idea. And I think any vibe coder could build that in a weekend.
So we've got browser plugin, internationalization as a service. I would like to nominate number 3 as the local government LBO, just because it's so crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's cattle rustlers in it, dude.
Yeah. So are those the 3 finalists then?
I also like Mosquito Death Star because I want to buy it.
I know.
We have Old-Timey photo booths, small business minority buyouts, EOS implementer, pro-natalist.
I like the Old-Timey photo booths.
Going for Old-Timey photo booths? Okay.
It's like, it drives me crazy when you see something like that in a bar that's clearly successful, that doesn't require an operator or an employee. Why isn't that in every bar?
Yeah.
Give me a good reason. I don't have one.
All right. So take 10 seconds and we'll each nominate our number 1 and then we'll decide which one's the winner.
All right.
All right. I'll go first. Internationalization as a service is my winner. I think it's the best idea.
Okay. All right. Specifically like using 11 labs to all that? Or?
Yeah. I think that you go create an agency, you go to all these folks who are generating content in one language and say, hey, I'm going to produce all this and republish it for you in a foreign language. And I'm going to split the revenue for you with you 50-50.
Yeah. You need a $50 a month 11 Labs account and the ability to DM people, and you're in business.
And then you go hire a bunch of offshore folks and you just run a playbook on all of it and create parallel accounts for it.
I love it. I'm going to go with Old-Timey photo booths.
Old-Timey photo booths.
Because that's very approachable to me. With the browser plugin, you're going to have a hard time finding customers because it's just another plugin. Old-Timey photo booths, you just freaking get a bar owner on the phone and you go buy them from China or wherever and you place it. That's it.
All right. Well, those two are tied for first, I would say.
Yeah. Tied for first.
Everybody wins in this podcast.
Yeah. But the one that you chose is also very approachable for anyone.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why I like it as well.
It's super good.
Where can everyone find you?
Girdley.com, my last name, Girdley.com. and you can find links to everything. I do a weekly newsletter of stuff relevant to people that are on a multiple business ownership, which is something you and I are both on. And it has links to my YouTube page and all that kind of stuff. All the content I'm making these days is either stuff I find hilarious because I YOLO my way through content, or designated to people that aspire to be a business owner or multiple business owners.
All right. What'd you think? Please share it with a friend, and we'll see you next time on the Koerner Office.